Welcome, and thank you for joining this Neybor Consulting session. Today we will walk through how a small business can realistically start subcontracting in the federal market. We will cover 18 practical steps, 3 real-world examples from different industries, and a concrete 30-day action plan you can take away and begin using immediately. The goal is simple: to turn federal subcontracting from something that feels intimidating into a clear, structured pathway that positions your business for growth. Let's begin with the basics. A subcontractor is a business that works under a prime contractor who holds the actual federal contract. Think of it as a three-tier relationship. The federal government sits at the top and manages the prime. The prime contractor manages you. You deliver a defined scope of work under the prime's contract terms, which means any flow-down clauses from the federal agreement still apply to you. This structure is actually one of the most accessible on-ramps into federal work for small businesses because you get to build past performance, learn compliance, and generate revenue without having to lead a full bid effort yourself. The Small Business Administration specifically points small businesses toward subcontracting for this reason, and they even maintain a database called SUBNet that is built entirely around subcontracting opportunities. So, why should a small business deliberately start as a subcontractor rather than chase prime contracts from day one? There are 4 strategic reasons. First, faster market entry. You do not need to lead a full bid. You enter federal work on the back of an established prime's contract, which is a much shorter runway. Second, you build past performance. Every subcontract becomes a verifiable reference that you can use to win larger work later. Third, you learn compliance in a structured environment. You absorb FAR rules, flow-down clauses, and reporting expectations, while the prime carries the primary obligation. And fourth, your risk profile is lower. The prime holds the top-line responsibility to the government, so you can focus on executing your scope well without carrying the entire weight of the federal contract on your shoulders. Taken together, this is why we tell our clients subcontracting is often the training ground for becoming a prime later. This slide gives you a complete picture of the federal contracting ecosystem and exactly where you sit inside it. At the top of the chain is the federal agency. That is the contracting officer, the program office, and the SBA oversight layer. Below them sits the prime contractor, typically a large business or a mid-tier integrator that holds the actual federal award. Below that sits you, the subcontractor, delivering a defined piece of the work. Now notice the 2 flows on the sides of this diagram. On the left is the money flow. Treasury pays the agency pays the prime, and the prime pays you, usually on net 30 to net 60 terms. On the right is the compliance flow. FAR clauses, wage rules, cybersecurity requirements, and quality control reporting all flow down from the federal level through the prime and land on your desk. The key insight here is simple. You answer to the prime answers to the agency, compliance flows down, and accountability flows up. Here is the complete roadmap at a glance. We have organized the 18 steps into 4 phases so it feels manageable. Phase 1 is foundation, steps 1 through 5. This is where you position your business, register properly, and make sure you legally qualify. Phase 2 is outreach, steps 6 through 10. This is where you pursue certifications, build a target list of prime contractors, and start actually reaching out. Phase 3 is execution, steps 11 through 15. This is where you learn how primes evaluate you, win your first scope, and document the delivery properly. And Phase 4 is growth, steps 16 through 18. This is where you turn one job into repeat work, become a preferred subcontractor, and eventually graduate into prime contracting. Each phase unlocks the next. If you try to skip ahead, the later steps simply will not stick. Step 1 is the most important step, because if you get positioning wrong, nothing else will compensate. Do not start by saying, "I want government work." Instead, answer 4 positioning questions. What do I actually sell in specific executable language? Which agencies are the natural buyers for that offering? Which prime contractors already win that type of work? And where can I reduce a prime's risk, save them time, or fill a capability gap they cannot easily staff themselves? On the right side of the slide, you see 10 of the most common subcontracting entry points, ranging from janitorial to cybersecurity. These are categories primes frequently outsource, which makes them natural on-ramps for small businesses. Take a look at the example at the bottom. A small cleaning company should not chase every federal opportunity. Instead, it narrows to federal buildings, military bases, Virginia facilities, and multi-service facility contracts. That focused positioning is far stronger than the generic label of cleaning business. Step 2 is where most small businesses realize they are not yet ready for federal work, and that is okay. Before you approach a single prime, 8 fundamentals must be in place. You need a legally formed company with an EIN, a separate business bank account, general liability insurance, typically $1 to $2 million in coverage. Any industry licenses your trade requires, basic accounting and bookkeeping controls, the ability to issue invoices, and track labor and materials in a way the federal environment can accept, and clear defensible pricing. If any of these are missing, primes will see you as too risky to bring onto a federal award. Close these gaps first. The good news is most of these can be handled within 30 to 60 days if you prioritize them. The bad news is if you try to leapfrog this step, you will lose every first conversation with a potential prime partner. Step 3 is registering in SAMGov. Even though many subcontractors get their first win through a prime and not directly from the government, SAM registration still matters because it signals credibility and makes you easier to validate. The SBA states that businesses serving either as primes or as subs should be registered in SAM. At minimum, prepare these 5 items in advance: your legal business name and address, your unique entity identifier or UEI, your NAICS codes, which we will walk through on the next slide, your banking and tax information, and your representations and certifications. And why does this matter? 3 reasons. 1, credibility. Primes prefer subs who already look federal ready. 2, many teaming arrangements cannot legally move forward until SAM registration is complete. And 3, it sets you up for the day you want to move from sub to prime. Consider the example at the bottom. A small IT firm with a proper SAM registration, NAICS alignment, and a complete profile looks significantly more credible to a large defense contractor than a firm with no federal footprint at all. That difference can decide whether you get a second meeting. Step 4 is choosing the right NAICS codes and describing your core capabilities in plain executable language. On the left, you see 5 of the most common NAICS codes for subcontracting entry points. Janitorial is 561720. Facility support is 561210. General construction is 236220. IT consulting falls under 541511, 541512, or 541519, and temporary staffing is 561320. Pick the codes that genuinely fit your business, not the ones that sound impressive. On the right, you see the difference between weak and strong service descriptions. The weak version is, we provide quality services with excellence, which communicates nothing. The better version is specific: nightly janitorial services, floor care, restroom sanitation, porter support, consumables restocking, and quality control reporting for commercial and government facilities. Primes do not buy adjectives, they buy specific execution support. So describe your services the way a prime's procurement team would check a box, not the way a marketing brochure reads. Your capability statement is your federal business card. It should be one-page, simple, specific, and built for a prime supplier diversity team or a capture manager to scan in 30 seconds. On the left are the elements you must include: company overview, core capabilities, differentiators, NAICS codes, UEI, socioeconomic certifications where they apply, contact information, past performance, service area, and any contract vehicles you are already on. Even if you have no federal past performance yet, use relevant commercial or state and local work. On the right is a sample layout you can model. Notice how each section is tight and scannable. At the bottom of this slide are example differentiators for a subcontractor: ability to mobilize in 10 days, bilingual field supervisors, OSHA-trained crews, night shift availability, secure site experience, and experience on hospitals, schools, or large campuses. Your capability statement should answer one question clearly: why should a prime trust this company on its contract? Step 6 is certifications. Under FR Subpart 19.7, large prime contractors on certain federal contracts must submit subcontracting plans with goals for small business participation. Those plans typically include category-specific goals: small business overall, woman-owned small business, Hub Zone 8A, service-disabled veteran-owned small business, and small disadvantaged business. What that means for you is simple. If you qualify for any of these socioeconomic categories, pursuing that certification can meaningfully improve your attractiveness to primes who need credible partners to help meet those goals. The bar chart at the bottom shows typical federal small business subcontracting target percentages: 23% for small business overall, 5% for woman-owned, 3% for HUB zone and for service-disabled veteran-owned, and 5% for small disadvantaged businesses. Consider the example. A small construction subcontractor holding a HUB zone certification becomes materially more attractive to a prime bidding a federal facilities project because that prime likely needs HUB zone participation in its subcontracting plan. Step 7 is where most small businesses lose the race. They send generic outreach to hundreds of primes instead of building a targeted list of primes who already buy what they sell. So let's do this properly. Build your target list by looking at the incumbent contractors currently serving agency work in your space, the large businesses in your NAICS area, GSA, a library and contractor listings, GSA subcontracting directories, and large integrators with federal portfolios. For each target prime, research 6 things. What agencies do they serve? What types of contracts do they win? Do they actually subcontract your service area? Who are their supplier diversity and small business liaison contacts? And critically, where could you fit in their delivery model? Do not pitch every prime. Pitch the ones already buying what you sell. That single discipline will dramatically raise your response rate. Step 8 is using the right tools to find opportunities. The SBA operates a database called SUBNet, which is specifically designed for subcontracting. It is a live list of opportunities that primes have posted for small business subs. You can search SUBNet by NAICS code, by state, by keyword, by industry, or by service type. Do not stop at SUBNet. Also, check prime contractor supplier portals directly, GSA subcontracting resources, SBA events, Apex Accelerator events, industry days, and matchmaking sessions. On the right is a concrete example. A small janitorial firm in Texas might search SUBNet using terms like custodial, janitorial, facility support, base operations, and maintenance. Then they respond directly to the listed point of contact on any matches. Make this a weekly habit, not an occasional one. The firms who build a steady rhythm around opportunity scanning outperform the ones who check in once a quarter. Step 9 is about how you pitch the prime. Do not start by asking for a giant role on a flagship contract. Instead, offer what we call an easy yes entry point, something small, specific, and low risk for the prime to approve. The 7 most common easy yes categories are overflow labor, regional coverage, emergency surge support, specialized trade work, local site support, after-hours service, and certified niche capability. Look at the difference between the 2 example pitches at the bottom of this slide. The avoid version is, we would love to partner with your company on future opportunities, which tells the prime nothing and gives them no reason to say yes. The use version is specific and immediately actionable. We can support task orders in the Dallas-Fort Worth region for panel upgrades, lighting retrofit, low voltage scope, and on-call service work, with rapid mobilization under prevailing wage and secure site rules. That second pitch makes it easy for the prime to route you to the right person. Step 10 is your outreach system, and most small businesses get this spectacularly wrong. They either send long marketing essays or they send generic LinkedIn messages that never reference the prime's actual business. Here is what works instead. On the left is a template you can use as is. Subject line: Small business subcontractor support for federal custodial work in Texas. That single line communicates your size tag, your service, and your geography. The body is short. It names what you do, states that you are SAM registered, mentions rapid mobilization, attaches your capability statement, and asks for exactly one thing: a short call. On the right are the 6 rules to follow every time. Keep it short. Put the value in the subject line. Name a specific scope. State your readiness. Make one clear ask. And always attach your one-page capability statement. Follow these and your response rate from primes will climb significantly. Step 11 is understanding exactly how primes evaluate subcontractors. Every prime asks the same 5 core questions before they bring you onto a federal scope. 1. Can you do the work? Meaning, do you have the skills, staffing, and prior scope fit? 2. Can you do it consistently? Meaning, is your delivery rhythm reliable? 3. Can you meet compliance requirements like flow down clauses, wage rules, and reporting? 4. Can you price it competitively? Meaning, are your rates market aligned and defensible? And 5, will you create risk for the prime? Meaning, are your insurance, clearances, and track record solid? Beyond those 5, you should expect specific operational questions. What similar work have you done? What is your geographic coverage? How many staff do you have? Can you scale? What insurance do you carry? Can your people pass background checks? And can you comply with wage, safety, and site rules? If you walk into a prime conversation prepared to answer all of these without flinching, you have instantly separated yourself from most subcontractors. Step 12 is the compliance layer, and this is often where small businesses are surprised. Subcontracting is easier than being a prime, yes, but it is not informal. On many jobs, you will still need to handle flow-down clauses from the prime contract, wage rules such as Davis-Bacon and the Service Contract Act, cybersecurity requirements, specific invoicing formats, quality control documentation, safety plans, non-disclosure terms, labor tracking, and reporting obligations. On the top right, you see the regulatory reference. FAR 19.704 lays out what subcontracting plans must include, and FAR 19.705-7 addresses good faith effort. You may not own the primes plan, but you are part of its compliance chain. The example at the bottom is typical. A staffing subcontractor on a federal support contract may be required to do timekeeping by labor category, submit approved resumes, maintain onboarding documentation, provide cybersecurity training certificates, and deliver monthly labor reports. Build the infrastructure before you win. Playing catch-up after award is the fastest way to get removed from a subcontract. Step 13 is pricing, and this is where a lot of small businesses leave money on the table and sometimes even lose money. A federal subcontract price should not look like a casual commercial quote. It should include, at minimum, direct labor, payroll burden, materials, supervision funds, insurance, travel, admin overhead, compliance and reporting time, and profit. On the left, you see those layers stacked visually. Strip any one of them out, and your margin evaporates. Now, also remember, the prime needs margin on top of your price. You will be compared to other subs, and a low price combined with low reliability is not attractive. It is the worst combination. On the right is a worked example. A cleaning company pricing federal support work should include labor hours per building, supervisor inspection time, supplies, after-hours access overhead, quality control reporting time, and badging and admin time. That price will come out higher than a basic commercial cleaning quote, and that is normal. Charge for what the work actually costs. Step 14 is deliberately starting with lower risk roles. Your first federal subcontract does not need to be glamorous. What it needs to do is build credibility. Good first win targets include small task orders, regional support work, overflow assignments, specialty components, labor-only support, pilot projects, and emergency or surge assignments. These are valuable because they create the 5 things on the right: past performance, references, delivery history, invoice history, and real compliance experience. Think of it this way. The foundation you build here is what wins your larger subcontracts later and eventually lets you graduate into prime contracting. So please do not turn down a smaller opportunity because it feels modest. The modest first win is the key that unlocks every door after it. Step 15 is about documenting performance from day one. Once you win, treat that subcontract like a case study in the making, because that is exactly what it will become. Track 8 things: the scope you delivered, customer or prime feedback, quality metrics, on-time completion rates, staffing levels, how you resolved problems, contract value, and performance periods. Then convert all of that into usable past performance language. On the right is an example statement. Provided nightly custodial and floor care support for a 120,000 square foot occupied administrative facility under subcontract to a federal prime contractor. Scope included restroom sanitation, trash removal, consumables restocking, and monthly QC reporting. Achieved consistent on-time service delivery with no major corrective actions. That paragraph is sales ammunition for the next opportunity. It is specific, measurable, and directly useful in future proposals or capability statements. Steps 16 through 18 are about turning a single win into long-term growth. Step 16, ask for more work before the project ends. Most subcontractors disappear after award and only reappear when they need something. The better approach is to perform well, communicate well, and actively ask the prime where else you can help, what recompetes are coming, and whether you can be considered for adjacent regions or task orders. Step 17, become a preferred vendor. Your goal is not to win a single subcontract. It is to become a prime's first call for your service area. That happens when you consistently deliver fast response, reliable execution, strong documentation, and a low-drama partnership. Step 18, build toward prime contracting. Use subcontracting as the training ground to graduate into prime awards. Collect federal past performance, build agency relationships, develop compliance maturity, and build pricing confidence. The smart progression is commercial work, then subcontracting, then small prime contracts, then larger prime work. Now let's see this playbook applied to 3 different industries so you can see how universal it is. Example 1, a small local cleaning company. Best entry is to subcontract under a facilities prime. They register in SAM, choose NAICS 561720 and related codes, build a capability statement focused on custodial support, search SUBNet for janitorial and facilities opportunities, and target facility management primes already serving federal buildings. A likely first win is a small custodial role for a federal office building under a larger facilities management contract. Example 2, a small managed IT company. Best entry is to subcontract under a federal IT integrator. They build a capability statement around help desk, desktop support, device deployment, and field tech services. They complete SAM registration, research primes serving VA, DHS, and civilian agencies, and position themselves as regional surge or on-site support. A likely first win is labor support for device rollout, field support, or help desk overflow. Example 3, a small HVAC subcontractor. Best entry is to subcontract under general contractors on federal renovation. They build federal-ready safety and quality documentation, highlight OSHA training and bonding capacity, and target primes winning USACE, Virginia, or federal building renovation work. A likely first win is HVAC scope on a mechanical upgrade project. 3 different industries, 1 consistent playbook. Let's get proactive about pitfalls. These are the 7 most predictable ways small businesses stall in federal subcontracting. 1. Marketing to agencies instead of primes. If you want subcontract work, your first customers are prime contractors, not contracting officers. 2. Being too general. Saying we do everything is weak. A narrow, useful offer wins more attention. 3. Ignoring certifications. If you qualify for socioeconomic categories, they can materially improve your attractiveness to primes with subcontracting goals. 4. Underpricing. Federal subcontracting carries real admin and compliance overhead. You must price for it. 5. Having no capability statement. Primes need a 30-second way to understand you. 6. Failing on documentation. Good work with poor reporting can still get you removed. And 7, which is perhaps the most common, waiting for opportunities to come to you. You need targeted outreach, research, and follow-up. Hope is not a strategy in this market. Now, let's convert everything into a simple 30-day action plan. Week 1 is foundation. Finalize your business basics, register in SAM, confirm your NAICS codes, and draft your capability statement. Week 2 is targeting. Identify 25 target prime contractors, research who they serve, find supplier or small business liaison contacts, and write your outreach email template. Week 3 is outreach. Search SUBNet and prime portals, send outreach to your targeted primes, attend at least 1 SBA, GSA, or Apex event, and tailor your capability statement by industry. Week 4 is momentum. Follow up with primes, submit for any open subcontract opportunities, refine your pricing and compliance package, and begin tracking all outreach in a simple CRM. 30 disciplined days following this rhythm is usually enough to land your first meaningful conversation with a prime. And that first conversation is often the hardest one. Let's bring it all together. The fastest way to start subcontracting on federal contracts is to become a low-risk, easy-to-use partner for prime contractors. That means 7 commitments. 1. Get federally ready with registrations, insurance, and documentation in order. 2. Define your niche in specific, narrow, executable language. 3. Build a strong 1-page capability statement that is scannable and specific. 4. Target only the primes already buying what you sell. 5. Use SUBNet and subcontracting directories as a weekly discipline. 6. Lead every pitch with specific value. An easy yes offer, not a vague partnership request. And 7. Perform well and turn one job into repeat work. Remember, subcontracting grows through trust and repeat performance. Primes remember the sub that solves problems. That brings us to your next step. If today's walkthrough has given you clarity on the path, but you would like expert help turning it into real momentum, Neybor Consulting is here to help you do exactly that. We help small businesses finalize their SAM and NAICS setup, build a prime-ready capability statement, identify 25 target primes who are actually buying what you sell, draft outreach that gets replies, and prepare for your first prime meeting. Visit Neybor Consulting. Come to book a consultation. We will review your current positioning, map out your subcontracting strategy, and give you a clear 30-day plan to move forward. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to helping you win your first federal subcontract.